Hello, my name is Michael and this is my wife Monica. We've got 3 children. The eldest is Ezequiel, he's 16, Tadeo, who's 13, and Audrey, that's 7. And we live in Coquitlam. We've been attending Riverside since January of 2022, roughly. Yeah, so we've been here for a couple of years. We have a son, Tadeo, he's hard of hearing.
In youth, I participated to learn God's Word more and to see my friends and do tons of activities.
When he was born, we were at the hospital and they did some hearing tests, and they found that he had failed the test. So they told us, he just didn't pass the test, we'll need to test him again. For us it was a bit of a surprise, sort of dealing with this news. We couldn't really tell that there was anything wrong, so there was a lot of denial, I think, on one side, and then on the other side trying to understand what it was that we were denying in the first place. And so that was a bit of a challenge. And he got really good at tricking us into thinking that he understood what we were saying, when in fact he didn't. And so it's really been a journey of learning to communicate and confirm that our communication is successful. And so that's been quite a trip and quite a challenge in overcoming that part of things. I was a scout leader at another church, and there was in the scout group there, one of the challenges was that he'd be standing with the group and instructions would be given about a game, and he would have his own understanding of what those instructions were, because of course he hadn't heard everything. And so he'd be playing one game while the rest of the group was really playing another. And so he would often find himself being kicked out of the game early because he would have failed to comply with some rule, and of course would have lost or been marginalized. Since we've been here in Riverside, Tadeo's attended Sunday school. He's had really good teachers. We didn't have to ask much. They identified that Tadeo had his hard of hearing situation. Tadeo's learned to advocate for himself a lot and let people know that he struggles with being able to hear. And so the teachers in his Sunday school class really worked hard to try to understand his hearing situation and try to work around it. We've also seen that in some of the leadership in the youth group as well, trying to make an effort to communicate with him and make sure that he is welcomed as part of the group and integrated, so that he can also participate like everybody else in the church family. So that's been really positive. We're also really thankful they made an opportunity for him to serve. And so Tadeo's been able to volunteer on Sundays with the younger kids. He's got a really strong passion for the Lord. Since he became a Christian and accepted Christ, he's had a really strong heart for serving God and making sure that he's sharing that with everybody. He really wants people to know Jesus and what Jesus has done on the cross.
One of the things that Tadeo feels really thankful about all that he received in the community. So he will like also to share, but in order to invite his friends and the community to be part of this church. So Tadeo wishes to have an interpreter at church, if possible, to invite them also, so they can hear the message.
I want to show you a story when I went skiing to the deaf and hard of hearing. When I was driving with somebody else, I've been feeling like to share the gospel with somebody else. And I told them about Jesus and the important parts. And I saw that they realized on what they have heard and that what have they like missed and what they've done over the years. I'm just glad that I had that in me and that I shared it. And by the time I finished and I tried to keep explaining, their father stopped me. It's like God telling me, if they're trying to stop you, don't stop and just keep on telling the gospel, right?
And so that was an interesting interaction, because when I got there to pick him up, he was participating in a ski activity through the deaf community, and they have a sports division, and they'd opened it up for him to learn to do some skiing. So he'd been going with this family carpooling every week. And so I arrived at their place, and the father invited me and said, oh, they're playing inside, why don't you let them play a little while? And so I managed to go inside, and we started talking. And just a little while into the conversation, he told me, well, your son was talking to my daughter, and she came home, and then at night she was crying that she didn't want to go to hell. And he says, I'm not sure what he was sharing. So it gave me an opportunity to share the gospel with him, and we had a really nice conversation. He said he told me he'd never really had this conversation with his daughter, and that he or his wife or even his family had never really heard about the gospel themselves. And so it was an interesting. It was a really interesting experience, but also it was a great blessing, because Tadeo had it in his heart to share with the child. The child went home asking her parents for answers to this news that she had received, and then it opened up an opportunity to share the gospel with the rest of the family. So that was a great blessing.